there's not a good work ethic, half the kids don't even want to be in the room. How do we shift that situation into one where everyone wants to be in the room, most of the students are doing the right thing, most of the students are on our side, so our task is a lot easier? How do we make that shift? Hi, Richard here from Learn, Implement, Share. So here's another video where we're having a chat about what's important when you're implementing a strategy or a new approach. It's more about the attitude than it is about the actual strategy, because the way you're thinking about your approach, your mindset around what's involved and the likelihood of things working and all those sorts of things are really, really important. So I'm hoping that you'll get some insights from this video. Now, I've got a couple of courses where I deal with this very scenario, where we're talking about the fact that me as a teacher, I have a tough class, one that I'm not inside with, and I kind of know that in order to steer that class, I need to be up and really on the ball and in a good vibe, because when I'm grumpy, it kind of all goes pear-shaped, but almost every time without fail, I walk into the room and 5 milliseconds after I walk in, bang, I'm down there again. And a lot of teachers agree that this is an issue. Like every teacher that comments about this always says, yes, I understand, Richard, but how do I change that? Because these tough classes, they need me to be strict. So what we're talking about here is how do we shift a class that is difficult, that we're offside with, that has a few usual suspects who we're at loggerheads with, there's not a good work ethic, half the kids don't even want to be in the room. How do we shift that situation into one where everyone wants to be in the room, most of the students are doing the right thing, most of the students are on our side, so our task is a lot easier, and generally speaking, they're keen to do the work? How do we make that shift? Well, there's a number of factors, and I'm going over various videos, we're going to talk about those. But here we're talking about attitude. There's a lot of things I can touch on here. But the fact is, if we're going to shift a difficult class into one that's on side, we need a lot of power. We need a lot of momentum, a lot of energy, not necessarily to be loud, but the right kind of energy to make that shift. And my point is that when we are strict, stern, and boring, and stressed, that might be enough to kind of crack the whip and get kids from fear to do the right thing and get some work done. But it's not going to shift the learning culture. It's not going to create any learners who are prepared to take ownership over the learning. And that's what we want. So what do we need in order to make the shift? Well, we need to be in our best self, which is when we are up-tempo, vibey, happy, rolling with the punches, not getting frazzled by what's going on. And over time, that's like an upward spiral. And over time, the kids will get on board, and we're just able to have so much more fun just from being in the room with them. And they will have more fun as well, rather than being antagonistic, trying to derail your lesson, you're cracking the whip at the usual suspects, all those sorts of things. But it is really difficult. I did this all the time. I would talk to myself before a lesson. I'd have a class I'm not on side with, and so I'd go, right, Richard, we're going to be up-tempo, we're going to be happy, we're going to be vibey. I am not going to get cranky. I'm not going to do it. And I'd walk in, and within 5 seconds, one of the usual suspects has done something outrageous, and I hear myself go, Carl, what are you doing? Sit down. That's not the way to conduct yourself. And already I've lost the plot. Already I've just reacted. And now I'm down the tube again. It's the same thing, plays over and over. So how do you break that? So we need to get out of survival mode, and we need to get in empowerment mode. The fact is, when we're up, when we're in that zone where we're not reacting to kids, where we're able to respond to the situation, something goes wrong, and you look at the situation objectively and think, what are some options here? Yes, I could snap, I could give them a detention, I could do this, or I could do something else. Which is going to provide the best outcome in terms of steering this ship into an engaged environment. Sometimes you do have to crack the whip, but not all the time. That can't be a knee-jerk action. So in future videos, we're going to look at different strategies on how do we break this cycle of being the stern, strict, boring teacher with the students who most need us to be up, happy, vibey, and able to steer them into the direction that we want them to go. So In this video, I'm just setting the scene, because this thinking, and if you haven't really thought that this is even possible, think again, because it is possible. But you're not going to turn around an off-task class, one where you're at loggerheads with. You're not going to turn that situation into a class that's engaged by being the stern, strict disciplinarian. Some teachers might be able to pull it off, most can't. I certainly couldn't. It needs something else, and in future videos in this series, we're going to talk about that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.